So good morning students. Today is Miley. If we were studying about polarization of light. As we all know that light is a transverse wave and polarization basically brings out the transverse characteristic of light. So it is the optical phenomena from which from the study of which we can identify the transverse property of light. Now the normal light that we see every day, it is actually unpolarized. Now what do we mean by that? Now since I have already said that light is a transverse wave, I basically mean, and also you have studied in your electromagnetic field theory, that in case of light, the electric and magnetic field are mutually perpendicular to one another, and both of them are perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So since the sense of vision that we have, that we observe in our eyes is due to the electric field component of light, so while discussing polarization, we focus more on the electric field and we do not talk about the magnetic field. But the magnetic field is also very much present, perpendicular at all points to the corresponding electric field. Now, for an unpolarized light, the electric field points in all directions. To polarize the light, if you remember, we had said that we have to use a special kind of a crystal having an axis, an imaginary axis called the optic axis, as you see over here. And this optic axis actually decides which component of the electric field will pass through this crystal. This is a tourmaline crystal. We call this crystal a tourmaline crystal. Okay. Now, when the electric field component parallel to this optic axis passes through, the others are blocked because they are not parallel to the optic axis. The light that we obtain at the other side of the crystal is polarized. Why? Because now the electric field component points in one direction. Okay. However, it is difficult to decide whether the light is polarized or not by using only one tourmaline crystal, because if we turn this tourmaline crystal, it will again pass another component of light which is parallel to it, which might not be this, which might be in some other direction. Okay, so every time we will see light if we keep on turning this tourmaline crystal. So whether we have polarized the light or not will be difficult for us to say. This will be possible if we use another tourmaline crystal which we call the analyzer. The first one is the polarizer, the second one is the analyzer. And the analyzer, if we turn around, we'll see that only that whenever the optic axis is parallel to the electric field component, that electric field component will pass through, the other fields will be blocked. So for one particular orientation of the tourmaline crystal, we'll see light. For other orientations of this particular crystal, which we are calling analyzer, it will be dark. It will be slowly it will attain complete darkness when it will be totally crossed. That means at 90 degrees to this one. Okay, now the type, so to demonstrate whether the light is polarized or not, we require a pair of crystal, a polarizer and an analyzer. Okay, now the wonderful thing about polarization of light is lights have different types of polarization. Light can be plane polarized, it can be circularly polarized, it can be elliptically polarized. So when the electric field, the tip of the electric field vector points in one direction, okay, we say that the light is plane polarized. When two such plane polarized light are superposed, mutually perpendicular to one another, the resultant electric field vector that is produced touches the tip of a circle. Okay, it rotates round a circle with its magnitude constant. The radius is constant. Okay, so that light we call circularly polarized light. Okay, so and the elliptically and the third one is the elliptically polarized light. As you see, the diagram shows. Well, the tip of the electric, again it is coming due to the superposition of two plane polarized light. However, the magnitude of the electric field vector is not same in all direction. So the tip actually traces out the locus of an ellipse, and the light is said to be elliptically polarized. So if the ellipse is traced out in the counterclockwise direction, we say it is left circularly polarized. If it's traced out in the clockwise direction, it is right circularly polarized. The same thing we can say even for the circularly polarized light. Now, well, how do we polarize light? That becomes very important. Light is polarized by four important methods: reflection, refraction, scattering, and selective absorption. Okay, so reflection means when light is allowed to fall at a certain angle and then it gets reflected from a particular point of the medium which we are using, or the transparent medium, whatever it is. The reflected light, though the incident light is unpolarized, the reflected light is highly polarized. Around 85% of the light is polarized. The corresponding refracted light is partially polarized. Okay, so by reflection we attain polarized light, and it has been found by Brewster. This brings out from here we come to know about Brewster's law. What is Brewster's law? That if light is incident at a certain polarizing angle theta p, then the corresponding reflected light is said to be completely polarized, and that happens when the reflected and the refracted light are at 90 degrees to one another. So that can be proved through Brewster's law, and well, you can it's a very simple proof. If you go through, you can show that tan of theta p, where theta p is the Brewster's angle, is equal to mu2 by mu1, where mu2 is the refractive index of the medium and mu1 is the refractive index of the surrounding medium. Okay, so the next thing that we had learned after this is about the applications of Brewster's law, the different three kinds of applications. Then polarization by refraction. How, by using pile of plates, light can be polarized by repeated refraction, such that ultimately at the end the light that we obtain is almost completely polarized. Well, we have polarization by scattering. Well, when the sun rises from the horizon, the scattered ray from the air molecules are polarized. Okay, and if you look into the midday sun, okay, the light which is scattered from the midday sun is also highly polarized. Now we have polarization by selective absorption. Now selective absorption is something like what we see in tourmaline. This selective absorption is actually called dichroism, if you remember. In tourmaline what we have is selective absorption of light. Okay, so same thing happens in a crystal called herapethite, which is actually discovered by Herapath. And selective absorption basically means that light breaks up into two components. One of the component passes through and the other is completely absorbed, and that is called the phenomenon of double refraction. Okay, so well, in calcium carbonate crystal this was observed that if light is incident on this crystal at the optic axis, it breaks up into two components, an extraordinary ray and ordinary ray, and how do we know that it's breaking up into two components? If we make a dot on the paper and if we keep the crystal of calcium carbonate on that dot, instead of a single dot we see two dots now. Now if we rotate this crystal around the dot, well, one of the dot remains constant, the other one moves. Okay, so the one which remains constant obeys Snell's law and we call it an ordinary ray. The one which moves is an extraordinary ray. And this is the underlying principle of Nicol prism, which I told you, you can go through. It's there in your book. It's very important for short note. Okay, so finally, well, we have studied some specific properties of O ray and E ray, and that actually brings out the definitions of positive crystals and negative crystals. So the refractive index of positive crystal for the E ray is greater than that of the O ray. For negative crystal, the refractive index is less than that of the O ray. And also we have uniaxial crystal and biaxial crystal. The typical examples of uniaxial and biaxial crystals are calcite, quartz. For uniaxial crystal, and for biaxial crystal it is mica and gypsum. In most of the cases, in most of the study of polarization, we use uniaxial crystal, okay, where we see both ordinary and extraordinary rays, whereas for biaxial crystals we see only extraordinary rays. Okay, so that's so much so for our Miley. For today's class, let's stop over here.